About St. George's Chapel. St. George's Chapel, officially the King's Free Chapel of the College of St. George, Windsor Castle, at Windsor Castle in England, is a castle chapel built in the late medieval Perpendicular Gothic style. It is both a royal peculiar, a church under the direct jurisdiction of the monarch, and a chapel of the Order of the Garter. St. George's Chapel was founded in the 14th century by King Edward III and was extensively expanded in the late 15th century. It is located in the lower ward of the castle. The castle has been a royal property for almost 1,000 years. The chapel has been the site of many royal ceremonies, weddings, and funerals. In the 19th century, St. George's Chapel and nearby Frogmore Gardens replaced Westminster Abbey as the burial place of choice for the British royal family. The care of the chapel is the responsibility of the Dean and Canons of Windsor, who constitute the College of St. George. They are assisted by a clerk, a verger, and other staff. The Society of the Friends of St. George's and Descendants of the Knights of the Garter, a registered charity, was founded in 1931 to assist the college in maintaining the chapel. History of St. George's Chapel. Building development. In 1348, King Edward III founded two religious colleges, St. Stephen's at Westminster and St. George's at Windsor. The new college at Windsor was connected to the chapel of St. Edward the Confessor, built by Henry III in the early 13th century. The chapel was later rededicated to the Blessed Virgin Mary, St. George the Martyr, and St. Edward the Confessor, but was later known simply by its dedication to St. George. Edward III also built the Arrary Porch in 1353–54. The period from 1475 to 1528 saw a radical rebuilding of St. George's Chapel begun by Edward IV and continued by Henry VII under the supervision of his most respected advisor, Sir Reginald Bray, and by Henry VIII. The 13th century St. Edward the Confessor Chapel was expanded into a cathedral-like space under the direction of Richard Beauchamp, Bishop of Salisbury, and the master mason, Henry Janens. The chapel suffered much damage during the English Civil War. Parliamentary troops broke in and looted the chapel and treasury on October 23, 1642. Further looting took place in 1643 when the 15th century chapter house was destroyed, the lead was stripped from the chapel roof, and elements of Henry VIII's unfinished funeral monument were stolen. After his execution in 1649, Charles I was buried in a small vault in the middle of the choir in St. George's Chapel, which also contained the coffins of Henry VIII and Queen Jane née Seymour. During his lifetime and reign, King George III was responsible for reviving royal interest in Windsor Castle, which had been neglected after the House of Hanover ascended the British throne in 1714. On August 12, 1776, the royal family first attended Sunday morning services at St. George's Chapel, which they called the Cathedral. George III was committed to St. George's Chapel. He inspired and largely funded the chapel's extensive restoration from 1780 to 1790. During the reign of Queen Victoria, the structure of the chapel underwent further changes. The east choir was remodeled in memory of Prince Albert. The Lady Chapel, abandoned by Henry VII, was completed and renamed the Albert Memorial Chapel. By the early 20th century, the warped walls, cracked vaults, weathered stone and flaking lead were in urgent need of attention. In 1920, a much-needed 10-year restoration project began on George's Chapel, overseen by consultant architect Sir Harold Brackspear. As part of this program, Muhammad Thomas Phillips, an Anglo-Congolese sculptor, created an eagle and a unicorn in 1923. The King George VI Memorial Chapel was built in 1969 between Rutland Chapel and the North Choir of St. George's Chapel to a design by George Pace. Royal Beast. On the roof of the chapel, standing on the pinnacles, and also on the pinnacles on the sides, are 76 heraldic statues representing the royal beasts. The statues represent 14 heraldic animals: the Lion of England, the Red Dragon of Wales, the Panther of Jane Seymour, the Eagle of York, the Black Bull of Clarence, the Yale of Beaufort, the White Lion of Mortimer, the Greyhound of Richmond, the White Stag of Richard II, the Silver-Collared Antelope of Bohun, the Black Dragon of Ulster, the White Swan of Hereford, the Unicorn of Edward III, and the Golden Stag of Kent. The original animals date from the 16th century, but were removed in 1682 on the advice of Sir Christopher Wren. Wren was critical of the Reigate stone, the calcareous sandstone from which they were made. The present statues date from 1925, when the chapel was restored. Note: St. George's Chapel, located inside Windsor Castle, is one of the most important historical sites in England. Known as the venue for the wedding of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle in 2018, the chapel has stunning Gothic architecture. One of the unique features of this chapel is the presence of the royal vault, where the kings and queens of England are buried, making it a must-visit destination for history lovers. Not only that, St. George's Chapel is also a place for important religious ceremonies, including coronations and funerals of members of the royal family. With its very detailed interior decoration, this chapel provides a deep spiritual experience for visitors.